Have you ever felt so stressed, so overwhelmed that you couldn't even remember when the stress started? Well, I've definitely felt that way. And in the past week, I've done this exercise that helped me recognize and notice my stress signs before I feel overwhelmed. I would find myself, boom, overwhelmed, stress levels way too high. And I find myself sometimes doing things or saying things that I don't really want to be doing. The kind of person that I want to be is somebody that's simply able to see the signals, understand the signals, and decide for myself how I want to react to my stress signals before I feel overwhelmed, before I overreact. I'm going to give you the details of how I did this exercise in just a bit. I'm going to give you the good and all the bad as well. You're going to hear it from me. I know that I can get better at this. I just know it. I know that I'm not everything that I could be. So this is why I did the exercise, because I figure out how to win my hardest inner battles. And then I give you the exact tools so you can win yours. Let's lock in. Well, how did it go? Interesting. I'll be honest with you. It was interesting. I learned some things about myself that I didn't quite know that I had in me because I just never paid attention to them. The way this exercise is structured is step one is seeing things differently. And I've definitely learned to see things differently about how my body warns me before I feel overwhelmed with stress. Step two is do something differently, observing the autopilot reaction that I used to have. And I did learn something. I did learn how to do this differently. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Step three was noticing my past behavior, how I would deal with the early signs of stress signals my body was signaling me. And then step four was imagining a better self. How would I be? What kind of individual would I be if I knew and understood how to manage my stress signals much better? And then the last step, step five, was creating one small win that I know that I'm able to do. And I did that. It's been good for me, really good for me. Let's dive in. So the first question was, what if my body warns me and I've just learned to not listen to the signals? I think personally for me that was very true. Not pay attention, or at least my mind. I've taught my mind to not pay attention to the early stress signs that my body would signal to me. And the follow-up question was, when was the last time you were already stressed and overwhelmed and it was already too late? Well, what I wrote down was yesterday. I was basically preparing the kids, getting them ready for school, and it was chaotic. Why? A bunch of reasons why. I was trying to do a little too much, and the kids were quite challenging as well. That particular morning, there was just a lot going on. So by the time we got in the car, I was already overwhelmed. That was my example. Now, the follow-up question to that is, what if the stress started much earlier and I missed something? So I asked myself, what did I miss that specific day? Or even other days where I already felt overwhelmed with stress. What did I miss? This is where things got interesting. There's a bunch of things that I missed. What I mean by that is there's a bunch of signals that my body sent to me that I simply ignored or missed. Or that I used to miss, I caught them this time. I have a list of things here that I finally ended up picking up that my body was signaling to me to let me know that my stress is beginning. So this is the stage before I feel overwhelmed. These are just the early signs. Number one, I start biting my lips. I bite my nails. I look for something to scratch. This one was funny. I don't like admitting this, but yeah, I do look for something to scratch, whether it's on my face or on my thumbs or my fingers or whatever. I'm just trying to scratch an itch. These are the things that I typically do when the stress begins. And this is early on. I'm not overwhelmed yet. It's just beginning. And these are the things that I typically do. Now that I've paid attention and I've picked this up, I know that I bite my nails. I'll just bite my nails. I will bite my lips as well. I'll do things like this. I'll bite my lips like this. I'll do stuff like that. And I will look for something to scratch. It doesn't matter where it is, but typically it would be somewhere in my face or my hands or whatever. I would look for something like to scratch. I'm just basically trying to scratch an itch. I picked this up in the past week as I was doing this exercise. I was asking myself this whole time, What did I miss? That was not the actual question that made me realize when the stress starts to build up. What actually made me realize that I'm in the early stages, in the early signs of stress, was step number 2, which is do something differently. Observe the autopilot reaction. Today, you're not managing stress. You are tracking its entry. So what I've done the past week was every single time that I felt somewhat stressed, I would just try not to do anything about it and just observe and listen to myself, watch my moves, and watch what I'm doing. So basically, I feel stressed and I just pay attention to what am I doing right now? What are the things that I'm doing? I would do that. What I would notice was early signs that I talked about earlier. I would pick these up when I would just catch myself feeling the stress build up. What I would see was I'm biting my nails, I'm biting my lips, I'm looking for something to scratch. I walk faster. I start cleaning up. These are just the things that I do when I feel like the stress is building up. And this is before I feel overwhelmed. And these are the things that are happening to me. Now, so it was very interesting that I really applied for 24 hours minimum. I wouldn't fight or cope with the stress. I would simply notice how my body just changes, how my body speeds up, how my body tenses up. I would pay attention to that. And what I was asked to do was next time you feel overwhelmed, you pause for 10 seconds and you say, I start seeing it, or you say, I see you. I did that. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, this was a game changer for me. Simply observing myself, not trying to do anything about the stress, not trying to cope or do whatever. I just catch myself feeling stressed. I pause for 10 seconds and I observe what I'm doing. And each and every single time that I would just observe what I'm doing, that's when I caught myself doing these things. That was an eye opener for me. Sometimes I would say that I'm not a person that stresses out much, which is true. I don't stress out much, but there's moments where I kind of just miss the buildup. I miss the early signs. I miss the signals, and I just feel overwhelmed. And I find myself just cleaning up because I can't think anymore. Everything is too much. And I need to narrow my vision to what I need to be doing and what I need to get done so that I can move forward and not pay attention to anything else. But usually when I'm in that mode, it's already pretty much too late. So even though that doesn't happen often, there's ways for me to see and pick it up before it even begins to go south. Pausing and observing myself and watching myself and seeing the things that I'm doing and tell myself, I see you. That helped. That really helped. I've been able to see every single time that I was biting my nails. I was able to see every single time that I was biting my lips or trying to find something to scratch. I picked it up. I really, really did pick it up. So this exercise is a game changer for me personally. So I would highly recommend you try this out. You can go and download this exercise for free on empoweredlivin.com. If you want to learn to manage your stress much better, this is something for you. Now, step number 3, noticing my past behavior. I had a look at my past behavior and I wrote this down here. I would never pay attention to stress build up or how it would build up. I would never pay attention to how the stress builds up. I would never watch my behavior. I would never pay attention to the signals, the warnings that my body would signal to me to let me know, hey man, your stress level is going up bit by bit. I would just never pay attention to that. Never, ever. So the result of that is I would just find myself feeling completely overwhelmed and it's already too late. And that happened way too often, more often than that I wanted it. That was step number 3. Step number 4 was all about imagining a better self. I was able to imagine a better version of myself. I could see myself being someone that would be able to simply pick up the signs, simply be able to listen to my body. My body always knows. Your body always knows. And I know that, but I was just not paying attention. So I imagined myself being someone that would pay attention to my body, listen to my body. What is my body telling me? Because my body knows better. My body is trying to protect me. So the way I imagined myself was that I can be someone that would pick up what my body is trying to tell me. And I believe that I can. So step 5, create one small win today. And this is about creating and taking one step towards that future self that I want to be, that I strive to be. And I take a small step, so small, so tiny that I know that I could do and that I actually would do. And for me, that was simply saying, I see you whenever I would just catch myself doing those things, catch myself ignoring the early stress signals. I started doing that. And that was a simple step that was easy to implement. That was something that was easy to apply and remember. What I chose to do was to say, I see you, because that would basically tell myself, I'm seeing what you're doing. Watch what you're doing. And it would help me. The recommendation was, don't try to cope with it. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to fight it. Just observe. And that's what I did. But when I would observe myself, I would also notice what I was doing. So I would immediately stop. And that's interesting, because the fact that I would stop every single time made me realize more what I was doing exactly. And it became easier and easier for me to spot and catch myself in the moment, which makes me stop whenever my body is warning me. I would stop when I would catch the early signals, which means in result, my stress levels wouldn't go all too high. And that's a win. That's truly a win. And I can't believe it. It wasn't that complicated, really. It was not that complicated. All it took was just for me to practice, follow the steps here, and be honest about how I do the exercise. And I did this exercise with truth and courage, and it made me a whole lot better. I feel better about myself. And I know that I can do even better. So if I can do this, then you can do this too. Please let me know in the comment section below. How do you recognize your stress? How do you know you're stressed out? What are your stress signals? What are the small and tiny bitty things that you do when you're stressed out? I want to know. Tell me. I'm not going to be the only one talking about all my dirt. Come on, give me what you've got. Tell me about your stress signals. Make sure you tune in for the next episode, because I will be talking about breathing like someone who wants to live. I'm going to create an exercise that's going to help me to return to presence and be in my body and be present in the moment, because sometimes I do struggle with that. And maybe you do too. I'm going to talk to you about my dark side. I'm going to talk to you about the things that I struggle with to stay in the moment. And maybe you will get something out of it too. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. I want to improve myself, and maybe you do too. So tune in for the next episode, and we're going to talk about how to stay in the moment. I figure out how to win my hardest inner battles, and then I give you the exact tools so you can win yours. My name is Chris Kasonga. Keep living an empowered life.